欢迎大家收听零到乌托邦的 Podcast， 我们讨论 Web 3有哪些推动公共社会前进的新可能，鼓励科技世代想象与探索更美好的未来乌托邦。欢迎大家回来零到乌托邦的这个 podcast 今天的这个整个形式会有点不太一样。那我们也是做一个小小的实验那个实验是什么呢？这个实验就是我们邀请了一些国外的讲者来跟我们分享。那所以这次的形式呢，我们在尝试的形式就是我们会先给大家10分钟到15分钟的一个介绍跟一个 heads up， 然后再来播放我们跟这个讲者去聊天的这个内容。所以即使大家对于英文不是这么熟悉的话，前面也可以有一个简单的 summary， 然后大家记得也可以在这个区块市的 Discord 上面给我们一些 feedback， 说这样的形式呢好不好 ，O 不 OK 这样。好，那今天我们邀请来的讲者呢是这个大家如果有听这个什么 Bankless 或有听 Gitcoin 其实就是这个一个他应该还蛮常出现在这些不管是他们的广告还是他们的这个情况里面，叫做 GLO Dollar GLO Dollar。 那 GLO Dollar 呢是一个稳定币，那稳定币可能不是现在的 Crypto Market 或者现在的加密货币市场最受欢迎的题目因为最近的这个监管regulation 的问题很多。但 GLO Dollar 它其实是蛮有趣的一个 model。 那所以当然今天就请来了这个 GLO Dollar 的 CMO 跟他的这个 CTO 来跟我们讲一下说 OK GLO Dollar 是怎么 work 的。那简单的介绍一下 GLO Dollar 是什么。 GLO Dollar 呢，当然像刚刚讲它是稳定币嘛，所以所有人其实都可以拿你现在的手上的 USDT、USDC 或者是你的现金美金现金去跟他去买这个所谓的 GLO Dollar， 那它就是1对1的这个交换。那交换到你手上的这个 GLO Dollar 有什么用呢？这个其实是一个三面的市场就是他们其实有3个大的 category 是需要去做事的。那第一个就是大家为什么要来 adopt 这个所谓的 GLO Dollar。 那为什么要来 adopt 这个 GLO Dollar 呢？其实蛮有趣的，就是他们因为当我们把USDC、USDT 或者是我们的美金拿去买这 GLO Dollar 之后，它在它的 reserve， 在它的储备里面就会有我们的美金 USDC 跟 USDT 了嘛。那他会拿这些这些储备呢去做投资，或者是去做买债券，或者是去买一些相对比较稳定收益的一些金融产品。那不管是中心化也好，去中心化也好，但是呢它的这个收益呢，它的这个所谓的利息或利润不会直接回到这个所谓的 user 手上，而这些利息跟利润呢会到这个所谓的去解决 extreme poverty， 就极端贫穷，全世界极端贫穷问题。那所以这个就有点像是你如果拿着 GLO Dollar， 你就会等于是不断的在捐款给这个极端贫穷的这个世界的人这样。那他们的这个捐款是怎么去的呢？他们这个捐款是透过一个叫做 GiveDirectly， 在这个所谓的区块链世界其实也蛮有名的。那所以去往非洲或往这些第三世界的地方去把钱去注入到这个需要的地方。那回过头来呢，当然是就比如说他们自己的investment strategy 是什么，他们的投资的策略是什么，为什么 GLO Dollar 可以有利润呢？那其实他们现在大部分收的应该是以美金为主，所以他们投资的呢也是以投像债券这些为主。但是因为主要是因为在前段它必须要有一个，它还在一个 Bootstrap 的流程，还在很早期的流程，所以它现在的量体也还没有大到说可以去产生足够的利息去做这些事。所以在前面呢，它现在目前都只是简单的在做推行。那他们自己也直接讲了，就是现在买 GLO Dollar 其实呢就是一个善举这样。那他们必须要 这个前面的这些善举呢，要成长到一定的量体之后，他们才有办法去把这个所谓的利息跟利润打到所谓的极端贫穷的情境里面去。那即使这个他们所以 GLO 其实就成立了一个基金会。那这个基金会本身呢，他自己如果说在这个量体之下，他还没有办法去给到就提升这个萃取就产生足够的利息的话，他们自己也会那个打自己所有量体的 0.6% 到这极端贫穷情况下面去。但是呢，他们也算了一下，说他们如果GLO Dollar 的最终目标呢，是如果能够占有全世界的 currency 8% 的话，那这个就这个极端贫穷的全世界的问题就解决了。当然这是一个很远的目标那看他们回过头来要怎么去思考怎么到达那个点。但当然我们就也会问他一下说，那你的第一步是什么？你第一步要怎么做？或者你第一个的 TA 到底可能是谁？那当然如果是比如说DAO啊，或者是这些拥有相对比较大量资产可能是一个方向。那他就举了一个例子，就是比如说像 Pleasr DAO 这样的一个组织。那 Pleasr DAO 大家之前可能没有听过，不过他们当然是一个聚集资金的一个DAO嘛。那这个DAO他们会去买一些就是他们认为对这个世界有意义的艺术品，或者是比如说像之前那个 Wu-Tang Clan， 就是大家如果有听过这个武当帮的专辑，本来是在一个投资银行家手上嘛，后来被他们以一个很高的金额给 bid 回来了，然后再把这个武当帮的这个音乐分享给大家。因为那个本来那个投资银行家拿着这个武当帮的 record 的时候，他是不愿意分享给大家，所以这就是一个但像这样子有 charity mindset 有公益思考的这些组织，他如果愿意把部分的钱 park 在 GLO Dollar 上面，他就可以开始有一定的量体，这个一定的量体开始就可以往上去涨。当然这个也是一个在现在的这个时间点呢，也是一个很不容易的事。那当然他也承认说，好，这个 GLO Dollar 呢在各个交易所啊，不管是现在 regulation 的情况之下，去升利息什么的可能性也蛮低的，然后去跟 on ramp off ramp 这些 use case 的比起来也不是非常容易。但它至少有个基本的，就是你只要拿着 GLO Dollar， 你要去跟它换回1块钱美金，它都是愿意换回来的。所以在这整件事情上面呢，当然就可以看出来说，这个东西要走的这个稳定币呢，要走的路还很长。不过当然在前期也有，比如说像那个 Gitcoin 前 Gitcoin 的 founder， 那现在 Greenpill 的主持人 Kevin Owocki， 或者是我自己很喜欢 Protocol 这一个叫做 Reserve 的 Nevin， 或者是一些在区块链世界里面比较思考公共财比较多的这些人，都比较愿意去在前期都去支持这个 Protocol 的一些做法这样。那所以在他们想象里呢，当然如果呢那个对于 GLO Dollar 的 adoption 越多，那它的全世界的贫穷就会越少。那所以我们呢现在也就是可以开始进入这个所谓的 interview 的情况，让大家听听就实际上由这个他们的 CMO 来讲 Jasper 来讲这一段，来形容他们自己现在面临的挑战跟未来的想法是怎么样的。那在这整个 category 其实叫做 regenerative finance， right？ 他们叫 REGEN regen。 那所以这也是一个再生金融这件事情，也是一个现在 Web3 这个世界往下面去走可以让这个社会相对永续的一个方法之一。所以我们就来听听他是怎么说的。So Jasper, thank you for being here today. We're very excited. I think GLO is a very wonderfully simple and elegant solution to today's world's problems. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We are almost launching. I think by the time this podcast will be published, we should be live. So I'm very excited to talk about GLO with you and your community.
Exciting. Jasper, do you mind introducing yourself a little bit and introduce a little bit about the GLO projects project so the audience understand what you're trying to build?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Jasper Driessens. I'm one of the co-founders of the Glo Foundation. And the Glo Foundation is an organization that is going to launch the GLO Dollar. And the GLO Dollar is a stablecoin. And it is a stablecoin kind of like, stablecoins that you know and use, like Tether and USDC. It's fiat backed. It's 100% backed. The big difference is that if you hold the GLO Dollar, then fewer people will have to live in extreme poverty, because we are going to use the revenue that we make to fund basic incomes for people in extreme poverty. So if you're an individual or a DAO and you're holding the GLO Dollar, then you basically help fund basic incomes without paying anything for it. You're just holding a stable coin. So we're creating a donation-less form of philanthropy.
Understood. So I guess there are three very big parts for the foundation who's trying to work on this. So basically, there is the part that's facing the consumer, the GLO buyers, or the GLO people who adopt the GLO dollars, and there's the side on making the investment with the reserve, and there's the side on distributing all these basic incomes to the individuals or the extreme poverty individuals. Can you explain a little bit about how all these three works, or what your strategies are for all these three different areas?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I think that's a very good breakdown. So on the holder side, as a holder, you do nothing different than when you're using other stablecoins. If you're someone that's using stablecoins right now, all you have to do once GLO Dollar is live is, whenever you're buying or holding a stablecoin, just pick a different one, and it's called GLO Dollar. The ticker is USD GLO, and that's basically everything you have to do. You're just holding a stablecoin. If you're not yet using stablecoins, let's say you're someone that's not into crypto, then, for instance, if you have some savings on the bank that you're not really using, you're waiting for the day your dishwasher breaks, maybe, and you don't care about savings interest on your bank account because it's very low, then you can park the money temporarily in the GLO Dollar, and then once your dishwasher breaks, you sell it again, you buy the dishwasher. But like in the meantime, that might be 1 or 2 years, you're helping fund basic incomes. So how does that work? Well, now we get to the second part, which is the reserve part. For every one GLO Dollar out there is a fiat reserve containing $1 of assets. These assets will be cash, but also US Treasuries. So this is nothing weird. This is the same thing that Tether does. It's the same thing Circle does. These US Treasuries, they generate interest income. We, the Glo Foundation, we get a part of that interest income, and then we give all of that away to fund basic incomes. And that means that like the higher the GLO Dollar market cap, the more dollars in the fiat reserves, the more money, the more interest income, and the more we can fund basic incomes. Which brings us to the third part. How do we distribute basic incomes? That is, of course, not an easy thing to do. So we don't do that ourselves. We just give the money away to an existing charity called GiveDirectly. GiveDirectly is an amazing charity. If you don't know them, I suggest check them out. They are doing this for 10 years already. They have teams in countries like Kenya and Liberia, and they go from village to village, and they select the poorest villages where people live under the extreme poverty line, which means that their lives are not great, right? They are economically trapped. No matter how much hours they work, they just cannot escape the state that they're in. They select these villages, and then they enroll them in basic income programs. And once you're enrolled, you get a basic income, which is not a large amount of money. It's like $40 per month, for instance. But if you live in extreme poverty, that is a lot of money for you. And you get that money for instance, 3 years or maybe 5 years, and you get it on a month-by-month basis. So it helps you and your family escape the trap that is extreme poverty. So this charity already exists, right? If you want to support them today, you can donate them money. You can just give your money away to GiveDirectly. What we are doing is we're creating a second revenue stream for GiveDirectly. So GiveDirectly, once GLO Dollar starts making money, will get money directly from donors, but they'll also receive some of the interest income from the GLO Dollar backing. And basically, the higher the GLO Dollar market cap, the more money we can give to GiveDirectly, the more people they can lift out of extreme poverty. We can dive in deeper wherever you want, but I think that is the basic story.
Yeah, I have a couple of follow-up questions on those three areas, maybe in reverse order. So again, the first question is, so I think on your website you said the goal is to reach to 8% of global money to be GLO, right? So just out of curiosity, so when first of all, when you guys reach that 8%, how will the world be different, or how will extreme poverty be different? And the second thing is, how do you get to that point somehow?
Yeah, so let me start by saying that the 8% thing, it is, it is an ambition, and it is a very rough estimate. Like at that super high adoption, probably the numbers don't quite work out. But if you make it very oversimplified, then we estimate that if GLO Dollar replaces 8% of all the money in the world, then the market cap is so high that we generate enough money to give everyone in extreme poverty a basic income. That is theoretical. For instance, some of the people living in extreme poverty live in North Korea. We cannot give basic incomes there, right? So it is a theoretical figure, but the idea is that today 700 million people live in extreme poverty. So that is approximately 1 in every 10 people in the world. If you want to give them a basic income, it costs about $500 per person. So if you multiply per year, so if you multiply $500 per year times $700 million, I think you get somewhere north of that you need $300 billion per year. And theoretically, we think that if we replace 8% of all the money in the world, then we generate interest that is somewhere along the lines of $300 billion per year. And if we give all of that away, that's the basic argument. So right now our market cap is 0. How do we get to replace 8% of all the money in the world? Well, we start small, of course. So we probably start mostly with people in the crypto world that are already using stablecoins. The current stablecoin market today is $130 billion. If we within that market, we can get to a point where we lift, I think, somewhere close to 7 million people out of extreme poverty. So that would be if we theoretically capture 100% of the market, right? No one would be any other using stablecoin than the GLO Dollar. Maybe on a smaller scale, we expect that at scale, every $20,000 of GLO is enough to lift one person out of extreme poverty. That won't be the case in the beginning. If we're a very small market cap, our impact will be lower. But at scale, we think that if you're a DAO and you're holding $20,000 of GLO, you are effectively lifting one person out of extreme poverty. So, for instance, the Pleaser DAO, they're holding right now close to $20 million of stablecoins. If they would hold that in GLO dollars, then we expect that the DAO would be lifting 1,000 people out of extreme poverty at no cost. So we'll start with people that are already using stablecoins, DAOs, traders, DeFi protocols, things like that. That can theoretically get us to 7 million people are lifted out of extreme poverty. So how do we get to 700 million? Well, we also want adoption from beyond the crypto ecosystem. So like I just mentioned, if you are a non-crypto person that has savings on a bank account, you're not using it, you don't care about the savings interest, you can park that in Glo. And, I sometimes compare it to veganism. So I think, or vegetarianism, maybe. So it might seem like a strange comparison. But I think in most countries, about 5% of the population is vegetarian. Now, being vegetarian means that you are willing to make a small change in your personal life to contribute to something you care about, in this case, animal welfare. Now, let's say that all the vegetarians put their savings in the GLO Dollar. So we would have 5% of all the savings, let's say in the US, for instance. Now, the US has $2.3 trillion in household savings. If 5% of that would be GLO Dollar instead of US dollar, then we would be lifting another 7 million people out of extreme poverty in expectation. So in that sense, the GLO Dollar is not just a stable coin. It is also a version of the US dollar that lifts people out of extreme poverty, basically. You can see how that trend continues. Like once enough individuals are comfortable, maybe companies can also start holding GLO Dollar, because companies, also want to meet their goals in terms of ESG and corporate social responsibility. So if we start seeing GLO Dollar not just as a stable coin, but also as a form of money, then the market cap can grow arbitrarily high. And then if we reach the limits of the US dollar, we can start the GLO Euro or the GLO Yen or the GLO whatever currency.
That's very interesting. By the way, the vegetarian metaphor, I think it's a very interesting and logical deduction of where that trend can go. I want to dive in a little bit more on your first steps. So you talk about DAOs, you talk about DeFi protocols, you talk about all this, all these like different organizations and people who are already using USDT, USDC. So given there on one side is the use case for stablecoins in future crypto world in the near future. It's on ramping and off ramping for people who are coming to the crypto world. It's bearing interest, but that may be affected a little bit by the regulations these days. And the other part, of course, is their charity causes. How do you compare all those like different incentives for people to actually hold for DAOs, DeFi protocol, these protocols who are already a large amount, to compare those incentives and decide to go into GLO in the end?
Yeah, I think that's a great question that touches on the critical challenge that we have in the beginning, which is that, objectively speaking, when we launch, GLO Dollar is not the best stablecoin on the market. It is a stablecoin that works, right? It's backed by cash and cash equivalents. You can use it. You can send it to people, but that's about it. Like it's not listed on most exchanges. It doesn't have a lot of liquidity. It doesn't have a track record of stability. Like that's something we will need to build up in time. We're also not yet audited. Well, let me clear that up. Like our smart contracts are audited, but our reserve is not. Like our off-chain reserve won't be audited from day one. That will take about a year. So in the beginning, GLO Dollar is a worse stablecoin than some of the other stablecoins. I also wouldn't suggest a DAO that is now holding USDC or USDT to go 100% into GLO Dollar. Like that is probably not a smart move. But if you like what we are doing, and if you want to help us get to the next step, and if you want to contribute to this vision where the crypto industry is lifting millions of people out of extreme poverty, maybe transfer like 5% of your treasury to the GLO Dollar as a first step. And it's basically a little bit of goodwill towards the project. That allows us to grow market cap, prove the concept, lift the first people out of extreme poverty, start building track record, get that reserve audit in. And then if you get more and more comfortable with the GLO Dollar and with the Glo Foundation as an organization, you can start trusting us more and more and more. And if a lot of DAOs do this and a lot of individuals do this, it's basically a matter of collective willpower. Like we need some goodwill adoption in the beginning to get to the point where we are a competitive stablecoin in terms of liquidity, in terms of usefulness. And then maybe the only thing I didn't touch upon is interest income for GLO Dollar holders. So there's basically two ways, right, where a stablecoin holder can get interest. One is directly from the coin, and the other is by wrapping it in some form of DeFi activity or liquidity providing or stuff like that. So basically you can get like reserve interest income or DeFi yield. I think reserve interest income is something that you will not get from the GLO Dollar, because that is what we're lifting people out of extreme poverty with. I also think that due to the regulatory considerations, you will not get it from other centralized stablecoins, because they will be forbidden to pay out interest. But there's nothing stopping you from taking the GLO Dollar and doing all sorts of DeFi activities with it. So if we get to a point where the GLO Dollar is not just this new stablecoin that's on none of the platforms, but if it's widely supported in the DeFi ecosystem, then you can have your cake and eat it too. You can hold the GLO Dollar, make money with it with DeFi yield, and also generate money for us to lift people out of extreme poverty. And of course, that will be a very exciting point in time, I think, where you can literally have social impact at no you and also no opportunity cost, because you are actually yield farming.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
I think it would be good for the DeFi ecosystem to have a bit of diversification in centralized stablecoins. And I think that it makes a lot of sense to have the GLO Dollar as an alternative, because I really like what Circle is doing. I think Circle is doing a great job. But it's still good for ecosystem risk to have an alternative around, I think.
Yes.
In the same way that, Web2 has different browsers, and no browser has a monopoly. Some are bigger than others, but it's good that there are multiple browsers, so you can switch to another one if your browser starts doing stupid things, basically.
Yeah, understood. That makes a lot of sense. So on the other point, can you, again, you touched on this a little bit, but can you explain a little bit about your bootstrap phase and your impact phase, how those are different given the current situation?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we decided to make this situation explicit. So we're calling our first phase, we're calling it the bootstrap phase. So the bootstrap phase is kind of like right now. We're launching the GLO Dollar, then it's in bootstrap phase. What does that mean? It means that our social impact is low. So eventually, we think that every 20K market cap lifts one person out of extreme poverty. During the bootstrap phase, we're not having that social impact. Like we need a much higher market cap to lift one person out of extreme poverty. So that's one thing. The other thing is that the GLO Dollar is, not very liquid, not on all the platforms, not a very useful stablecoin yet. So during the bootstrap phase, we basically acknowledge, like, hey, if you are adopting the GLO Dollar, it's probably because you like what we're doing and you want to help us. If we grow to sufficient market cap and we do the right work, then at some point, the GLO Dollar is a more mature stablecoin. and our social impact is high. And that's when we enter what we call the impact phase. And that is where the GLO Dollar is actually a great stablecoin that you can use, in addition to the other stablecoins without much of a sacrifice. And it's also the point where the market cap is so high that we get some economies of scale, such that every 20K market cap lifts one person out of extreme poverty. So that's the phase we're working towards. And during the bootstrap phase, we basically need your support to grow the market cap so we can get to the impact phase.
Understood. Is it in any part of your discussion that, because from my end, I can see probably many different foundations or many different individual or organization might want to adopt this approach in their local countries or in their local currencies. Is it anywhere in your mind that this can be not open source, but something that a network of different organizations that can share this fundamentals together and build these kind of initiatives on top of?
Yeah, totally. So if I understand you correctly, you mean that like the model that we have, where the money goes to GiveDirectly, you could do the same model and then fund other causes or the local economy. Is that what you mean?
Yes. Or for example, just give it if DAO Zero wants to build something like you guys do, then maybe if you guys basically run an open source protocol of some kind, we can basically adopt that. And of course, at that point, maybe investment strategies can be shared. The front end protocols, how money comes in and go out, can be shared. Of course, there's a lot of maybe legal issues to solve through it. Just wondering, has that ever be part of the conversation to build a network instead of like the Glo Foundation doing everything, start from the beginning?
Yeah. Okay. No, great point. Yeah. So, well, let me start by saying that we will open source all of our code. Like we're not here to make a profit. So we just want to be, as useful and as high impact as possible. So we'll open source all of our code. And it's true. Like we hope that the ecosystem starts building on top of the GLO Dollar and starts creating, wallets and maybe GLO-backed debit cards and bridges to other chains and all of that things. Like we don't necessarily want to create that all of ourselves. And I think that if the ecosystem hops on the bandwagon and starts creating with us, we can get much further. So yeah, no, that is totally what we hope that will happen. And we will open source all of our codes to at least make that possible. So there are also people around us that ask, like, can we get GLO Dollar, but then for a different cause? Can we get GLO Dollar for our local economy? We also think that is a cool concept. We will encourage anyone that wants to do that to build it. We will not build it ourselves because we think that focusing on extreme poverty is good.
Understood. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The thing is, with all these, like the network effect has to be built at some point, so the whole thing can have a exponential growth at some point.
Agreed.
Do you mind explaining to the audience a little bit about how the fund? I understand it's not your organization who's distributing this fund; it's GiveDirectly. But can you explain a little bit about how this fund will be used, how they will be distributed, so people who are supporting the GLO protocol can have understanding of where their money is going?
Yeah, it's actually a very old school process. It has nothing to do with crypto. So we will donate fiat to GiveDirectly, and then what they do is, they go to the countries where they are operating. They select the poorest villages, and then they ask the village, hey, you are eligible for the basic income program. Do you want to receive the basic income? The village will vote, and if they vote yes, then every inhabitant of the village will be registered, enrolled in the program. And then how they receive money is through mobile money transfer platforms. And for instance, in Kenya, that is the platform called M-Pesa, which is very nice because it means that you don't need access to a bank account, which often people in extreme poverty don't have. All you need is a telephone number, and that is often something they do have. So once they're enrolled, they get a payment. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe every month, maybe every 2 weeks. And depending on the country, that payment is somewhere between $30 to $40 per month. So it's kind of like $1 per day. And they get it for 3 to 5 years, also depending on the country that they live in. It's no strings attached, so they can use it in any way they want. And that's important because we believe that people probably know what's best themselves. So one village might want to send their children to school. The other village might want to replace their mud and thatch roof with a metal roof. But there are so many other stories like that. And the great thing about giving cash to people is that everyone can buy or invest in what's most useful for their family, given their situation and their skills and their education, etc. And this way of doing things has been getting more and more research to the effects, and it seems to be very effective. So it seems that like if you give someone in extreme poverty a basic income that way, then often they can escape extreme poverty. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not poor anymore. If you escape extreme poverty, you might still be in poverty. But the particular problem of extreme poverty is that it's so hard to escape on your own terms, because any little bit of money you make, you need to use almost immediately to meet your basic needs. So you cannot save, you cannot invest, you cannot build assets. So you're stuck in this cycle, basically. And by getting a little bit of extra money, you can start thinking a little bit more about the future. You can buy productive assets. You can start a farm. And that is ultimately how the GLO Dollar has impact.
That makes a lot of sense. My next question will be, what will be the if you have to, as all these are very logical and very promising, what will be your guess, or what do you see as the biggest threats for GLO Dollar to exist or to continue in the next couple of years?
Yeah, great question. I think in the immediate term, the biggest challenge will be, can we rally enough community around this vision to provide that early adoption? Because I'll be honest, like in the early phase, adoption is almost completely out of goodwill, which is it's a hard sell, right? We don't actually solve a problem for the holder. It is a form of charity to use the GLO Dollar. You get nothing for it, basically. I think that if our vision comes true, there's huge payoffs for the crypto ecosystem, and of course for philanthropy. But in the beginning, it's not. So you have to believe in that future, and only if we can spread that story and get enough people behind it, we'll get to the scale where we can really reach that breakthrough moment, basically.
Do you have a number that you're targeting that you want to get to at the first phase?
There's no specific number, but I think from a market cap of like $10 million upwards, we can really start making nice donations to GiveDirectly. And personally, I feel, yeah, it's a little bit arbitrary, but personally, I feel like a market cap of 100 million just feels different. Like from that moment on, you feel like it's an established stablecoin that people can really trust. So I personally hope to get to 100 million, perhaps within a year or so. Like that would be great. And also, $100 million means that I'm not very good at mental math, but it means that we lift, what is it? 5,000 people out of extreme poverty? Or maybe 50,000. But anyways, then we have a really good proof of concept. And I think that's a great moment.
Understood. Yeah, a very promising future to look forward to. How do users, or how do our audience who are interested, how do they get involved in adopting GLO dollars, so they can and be involved in the community somehow?
Yeah, I love answering that question, of course. You can go to glodollar.org, and there you can sign up as early adopter. And that means basically that you're saying, okay, I love what they're doing. I want to help them prove the concept. I'm signing up as early adopter. I'm going to hold some GLO. But signing up as early adopter just takes like 2 minutes, and then we'll walk you through the steps. And once we're live, we'll help you buy some GLO. You'll get a nice calculator where you can basically connect your wallet. You can see how much GLO you're holding. And then we show you how much impact you're having. So we show you how many people you're lifting out of extreme poverty, but also how much they can buy. So for instance, with this amount of money, someone else can buy 5 chickens every month, or a school uniform, or, they can start a farm. That's the best way to help. And like I said, it's also all about spreading the word. So if you agree with our vision, make yourself an advocate. If you're active in DAOs, try to get some people aligned and make the DAO GLO dollar adopter. If you have other people in crypto or other people that are interested in solving extreme poverty, tell them about the project, spread the word, and help us kickstart adoption. That's really how you can help.
Amazing. Is there anything today that I did not ask, but you think you should mention, or you think is worth mentioning, whatever comes to your mind?
Well, yeah, I want to maybe, we've touched upon it a little bit, but I want to maybe emphasize 2 things that are part of our vision. So let's say we're able to bootstrap, and let's say we're able to reach some nice adoption. Then there are 2 outcomes that are potentially very beneficial. One scenario is, let's say we reach 8% market share. So of the whole $130 billion stablecoin market, GLO dollar reaches 8%. We would still be much smaller than USDC and USDT. But at 8%, we think that we will be lifting 500,000 people out of extreme poverty. Now, that's not just good for these people, but it's also good for the crypto industry, because the crypto industry has a reputation problem. For sure. Right? Like almost everyone that is not in crypto hates crypto at this point.
I'll agree with that.
And that doesn't help in terms of policy, for instance. How can we change that? Well, I think one big problem is that what crypto is missing right now is this one example where everyone on either side of the debate agrees that it's a good thing. I can't name one. I can't name one example that even crypto haters say, yeah, that one is actually nice. I think that if GLO dollar reaches the point where we lift 500,000 people out of extreme poverty with a stablecoin, no one will hate that. Like, that's impossible to hate. There's nothing wrong with that story. So if we reach that point, and collectively we can get there, then everyone in the industry has this one example to point to when you're talking to politicians, for instance. or when you're in crypto advocacy, to show like, hey, this is like a great example of how crypto can lead to good. So that's one thing I wanted to share. Like if we just get to a little bit of substantial adoption, I think that we can change the narrative around crypto in a very nice way.
I totally agree with you. And at the same time, people sometimes talk about, of course, co-directed funding is a very wonderful funding system, but at the same time, it takes time to explain what co-directed funding really is. And for everyone to get to crypto, or for everyone to explain what crypto really is, stablecoin is always the simplest thing for the mainstream to onboard, for the mainstream to understand and all that. Right? So it should be a very good story there, that telling that crypto can help, crypto can be good.
Yeah, and that's it. It's an uncontroversial and undeniable and simple story. And of course, there are a lot of other great stories. Like I see that, but most people that are not in crypto don't see it, and they need a gateway drug, basically.
Totally. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, and perfectly put. I think the gateway will be a goodwill gateway will be a very good role for Glo to play in the industry. So thank you so much, Jasper, for your time today.
Thank you so much. This was a great conversation, and amazing opportunity. So thanks for inviting us, and I'm really looking forward to the episode.
Thank you so much, Jasper. 感谢大家的收听。零到乌托邦需要更多朋友参与。如果你希望参与 Web3 的社会行动，请搜寻 da0.g0v.tw， 也加入到 Zero 的 Slack， 也许乌托邦就在不远处。